Very exciting today at AZ Cactus Tac. If this is what I think it is, the mailman just dropped this off, and it is my first shipment from the CMP, or the Civilian Marksmanship Program, and it should be a M1 Garand that I ordered a couple of months ago. So we'll break that out and share the experience with all of you. All right, we've got it out of the box, and right off the bat, I mean, this is a pretty beefy rifle case. Usually it's those sort of chintzy, plastic, flimsy rifle cases that I've received. This one's actually pretty substantial. Trying to see if, okay, it's made by a company called Flambeau. Seems pretty rugged, definitely better quality than what I've seen in other rifle cases. You've got the CMP logo here and their website. So we will open this up and see what we have. All right, there she is. Immediately I'm already getting the smell of like old wood. Okay, so there it is, and I'll give you the story on this. This is not a, I would say, normal M1 Garand. I'll get into the story in that a bit, but basically what you see right here is you've got your rifle, you've got a chamber flag, you've got okay, muzzle and throat readings of 1+, 1+. I'll have to look up if that's good or bad. I'm going to assume that that's pretty good. And then you've got your, I assume, yeah, manual and an M-block clip, and of course a lock. And you've got a certificate of authenticity in here. So we'll leave that. Here is the rifle. As I mentioned, this is not the average M1 Garand. M1 Garands, as many of you know, are chambered in 30-06. This is actually chambered in 7.62. It is one of the Naval M1 Garands. And the reason that I went with that is I'm collecting sort of Cold War era rifles. The M1 Garand sort of fits in that, as it was out of service in 1957, I believe, and also saw a lot of action in Korea as well as early phases of Vietnam. And so I wanted one for the collection, but I just really didn't want to have to support another caliber. I feel like I'm swimming in a lot of calibers right now. So I was looking for something sort of an alternative. And they had, of course, 308s, but those were all sort of restocked. They had brand new stocks on it. And I sort of wanted a stock with a little bit of character, with a little bit of age. And so as I was looking around the CMP side, I came across this thing called the Naval M1 Garands, and became intrigued about that. As the service life of the M1 was coming to an end around 1957, and after World War II, the U.S. had adopted the 7.62 by 51 NATO cartridge. Of course, that spurred the development of the M14, and every arm of the service was looking to, rearm itself with a new rifle, Navy included. But at the end of the day, there were production delays and things like that, from what the research has led me to believe. And ultimately, the Navy didn't have a whole lot of M1s in its inventory because it was a branch of the service that just didn't really have a need for a lot of these rifles. And so they wanted to look at some lower cost alternatives about maybe modernizing the M1s that they had, and also doing that in a much quicker pace than it would have taken to get a brand new, say, M14. And so they set out, and initially they looked at a solution which included sort of rebarreling. I'm just going to pull this chamber flag out real quick. That led to a solution around 1962 of putting a bushing into the chamber and throat area here, or the chamber neck. That didn't meet with a whole lot of success, as sometimes that bushing could be ejected with a spent cartridge. And they also looked at some other solutions, which, you know, meant adding some grooves or cutting some grooves in there to see if that would prevent it. They tried some Loctite. Nothing really seemed to work. 1964, Springfield had sort of developed 7.62 barrels. They were already modernizing some M1 Garands with that barrel, so the Navy sort of gravitated towards a rebarreling solution. As they were dealing with their bushing approach, they wound up calling that the Mark II Mod 0. And then when they went to a full rebarrel, they called that the Mark II Mod 1. So this is a Mark II Mod 1 M1 Garand chambered in 7.62 by 51 NATO. So let's dive in and just take a closer look at this stock and see if we can learn anything more about this rifle. Okay, I'm just going to go through and just to sort of do just a quick look-see at this, give you guys a look in detail. Looks like we've got a little bit of discoloration, maybe a little bit of rust on that clip right there, or that clip to mount a sling, or that sling mount. But all in all, the stock looks pretty good, has some nice character, which is what I wanted. I wanted a stock with some character, and that's why I wound up gravitating towards this solution. Coming in here, now down here, the CMP has a really interesting article on the history of these naval M1s. And you can see here that this looks to be a Springfield barrel. And you've got the SA for Springfield Armory. Looks like there's a serial number on the barrel. 762 Springfield, based on the article that I read at the CMP, they would have sort of that decimal point down there. They would put that at the bottom, and H&R, who was another contractor, would put the decimal point sort of in the middle between the 7 and the 6. Let me get this up a little bit. So just looking at that in a little more detail. Yeah, it looks like it was manufactured. It looks like the barrel was manufactured in June of 66 based on that stamping, 6 of 66. And again, you've got another 762 marking there. And you've got your 762 and the way Springfield did it with the lower decimal point, these markings there. So anyway, I'm not an expert on all this stuff. Just be straight up right off the bat. I'm a complete noob on M1s and everything, and stampings and cartouches. I don't know shit about that stuff, to be honest. This is just based on the article that I read. Trying to learn a little bit more about the rifle. All in all, got a couple of marks, but everything looks pretty good. Some nice character to it. This is maybe just a little bit loose there, and we'll take a look at the other side. Okay, again, just some wear marks on the buttstock. This is a marking here, some type of a stamping. All I could sort of make out on this is it looked like there were 3 stars, but the rest of it's either been chipped away or just worn away. I did go on the internet and I tried to look at cartouches with 3 stars. I found one that had an eagle. So I guess you could say there might be sort of an eagle pattern with 3 stars. It's the only thing that I could sort of come up with as to what that could possibly be. And what I learned from that is that in the 50s, I'm not sure when, probably early 50s, they went away, or the Ordnance Corps went away from stamping these things with the initials of the actual inspector that was inspecting this, and they went to this Department of Defense stamp with an eagle and 3 stars. That didn't go into effect until the 50s, and so this would indicate that at some point this rifle's been restocked, and as a result has had that stamp. And again, a lot of wear marks going down. Don't see any writing or anything like that on there. And we'll just go ahead and, a couple of marks here, nothing major. looks pretty good. Don't see any marks or anything like that. There's a looks like a proof mark there. Let me see if we can get that. Okay, that looks like a P, a circle with a P, so standard proof mark, indicating they would stamp this, if my information is correct, they would stamp this after, it's gone through the manufacturing process and has been test fired. You'd get that P mark there. All right, let's take a look at, this is an old serial number, so I'm not really super concerned about sharing it with the internet. So the serial numbers in the 2 millions, I did look it up. Based on the article at the CMP, most of these receivers are World War II era receivers. Based on that, it looks like this was made in October of 1943. And again, if any of you have better information, again, I'm not an expert on this stuff. It's just what I could find, becoming an internet historian, which we all know, probably not the most accurate. Okay, so this plastic insert here, that was added, I think basically to prevent you from putting a 30-06 in. And I know that they had to alter, the stock somewhat, or, make a cutout in the stock to add that in. I could be totally wrong on that, but it's basically to indicate that if you're putting a 30-06 in here, that's the wrong caliber a bullet to put in there. So, but all in all, the receiver looks, fairly good. All right, it does say muzzle reading, muzzle reading. It does say muzzle reading, throat reading, 1 plus, 1 plus. So I had no clue what that stuff meant. I'm not knowledgeable enough to get into various muzzle readings and throat readings. Just a quick look on the internet said basically anything less than a 3 is really, really good. And a lot of the stuff doesn't mean that it's not fireable. If it's over a 3, it's really relating to various accuracy and results that you can get. Again, that's what I found. If you guys have any comments, please put it down. But it looks to be, I guess in general, if I were to assume that based on what I found, then it looks to be in pretty good shape from a barrel standpoint, indicating that maybe not that many rounds were pumped through this in its day. So just sharing about my experience with the CMP. I'm going to share a link to a video it's done by this YouTuber, Jared AF. He sort of has a great video on, introducing you to the CMP process. Basically, the CMP is an organization that's over 100 years old, that's there to support marksmanship, gun education, gun safety, youth development programs, and it seems to be an organization that's just really solid. Long history within the United States. Actually used to be a federal agency or part of the government, I think up until about the 60s, and sort of became maybe this nonprofit. They basically take in a lot of the decommissioned firearms from the US government and do a little refurb on them and basically make them available to citizens of the United States. There is a little bit of, paperwork that you have to go through. You have to get a certification. You have to belong to a local, pistol and rifle association. You do have to show some proof of marksmanship ability, but it's really not that hard. If you have some type of license or a course that you attended, or your concealed carry, all that counts. I didn't find it that hard to be honest. And then you have to get it certified, and you send all that in. It took about, I don't know, for me, 2.5 months. I think they were just sort of backed up. But I received it, and you can see the case that it came in was really, really nice. The rifle, from what I can tell, is in good working order. I'll definitely take you guys along when I take it out to the range for the first time once it cools down a little bit here in the desert. But all in all, I really found the experience, to be great, especially the shipping directly to your house. That saves on FFL fees. And I know they just came across some Craigs. They have that. They've got some 1911s. So a really, cool opportunity to get a piece of history. Again, I don't think these are going to be highly, valuable collectibles, at least in my lifetime, but for my collection, this Cold War collection that I'm building, enabling me to basically not have to support another caliber and still get a rifle that had some character and some history with it, and a little bit of a unique story with this Naval version, the MK2-Mod1. Was just a great opportunity, and I'm really glad that I took advantage of it. And prices range anywhere, and they basically grade the rifles. They have like a rack grade or field service or expert. So there's different grades that they put on it. Those all have different price points, but anywhere from about I want to say $600 all the way up to like $1,700. You can get access to a pretty nice 308 7.62 firearm, and start to really add a nice piece to the collection and just the history that I learned researching this rifle. I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and again, just a piece of history to add to the collection, and look forward to holding on to it for many, many years. All right, so with that, thank you guys for joining me on the unboxing journey of my first CMP M1 Garand, albeit a 7.62 version. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.